Well, good morning, good morning. I'm Reverend Karen Lewis, and it is such a joy to be here. I am so happy Reverend Leslie came back from vacation. Yes. When you have a co-ministry, it is very, very apparent when your co-minister is on vacation. So I'm very happy to have her back. And here we are. We are in this wonderful kind of sidestepping of our annual theme. Many of you have heard that we have an annual theme, and this year is the spiritual hero's journey and the understanding that each and every one of us is on our own individual hero's journey because we are the hero in our own life. And so for a good 8 months now, we have talked about and we have walked as a community through this wonderful circle. We are used to this slide by now. And look, we can tell, we're making our way to the completion. And so for 3 weeks now, we have sidestepped a little bit because we wanted to really get clear. What is it that we can do to really receive the goodness, the gifts that are so generously given at all times? And so we did that by looking at the elements of abundance. How do we live in abundance? We looked at asking, forgiving, and today we are going to anchor into receiving. Receiving. And so I have a lot of notes over here. I got stories, I got ideas. But what I'm so clear on, that unless there's a willingness within each one of us to receive, it is just a good talk, hopefully. So I would love for us to start off by asking ourselves, in the privacy of our own mind, am I willing to receive? And whatever answer you are receiving, have that close to your heart as we walk through it. Does that sound good? Yes, wonderful. So we're going to start off today with this wonderful quote by, my German tongue has a little bit of a hard time with this, Rabindranath Tagore. And here is what this beloved says. Everything comes to us that belongs to us if we create the capacity to receive it. If we create the capacity to receive it. I'm not going to ask for a show of hands, but ask yourself, how often have you said, oh, that's nothing. Oh, don't even mention it. Oh, this old thing? Oh, I had it for years. Oh no, I couldn't accept that. I'm just really better at giving than receiving. All right, here are my peoples. You're my peoples, right? We have a tendency to have this idea that it is better to give than to. And how is that going to work? How is that going to work? Who is going to give to who then, if we are not willing to receive? So that's what we're looking at today. And the challenge to receive really comes down to two fundamental beliefs. I am not safe, and I'm not worthy. It is one of those beliefs that has its way in us consciously or unconsciously, that prevents us from receiving, from standing with arms wide open and really being nurtured by all the good that is coming to us at any time. Yeah. So we're going to walk it out. We're going to take a look. First, we're going to take a look at this idea that I'm not safe. It is not safe for me to open my arms and to welcome whatever comes to me. That reading that Karen Blakely did today from Dr. Ernest Holmes, that I enthusiastically open my arms to life and welcome it. I believe that it helps us to demystify this behavior of, rejecting the good by understanding where does it come from? Where is it coming from? And so let me walk it out. This idea that at some point in our lives, we didn't feel safe. Perhaps we got bullied. Perhaps something happened in our childhood. From that place of not feeling safe, we develop the thought, I can't trust. I can't trust anybody but me. And then from there, it's only a small step to understanding or to believing I have to control everything out there. And it really is grounded in this sense that I'm not safe. Let me illustrate it. We just watched the movie Respect that was honoring Aretha Franklin, the Queen of Soul. How many people have seen that movie? Oh, good. 2 of us. Well, I will not give it away. Just this much, that it was a great movie, and perhaps because I have been studying this talk, I saw it walked out so clearly in this beloved's life. As a young child, as a 10-year-old, something happened in her world that was clearly making her feel, I'm not safe. And the challenging thing is, and this is where I ask all of us to really come with compassion to our own story or the story of a beloved, if it happens in a place where we should feel safe. In our families, in our homes, by our caretakers. And so from this experience, she made a clear decision. I can't trust anybody. I am not even going to talk about this. And then as her life unfolds, she develops this need to control anything that's happening, to the point that the wall that she built to protect herself was so thick and so high that she couldn't receive the help that was willing to come from the beloveds around her. Can we relate? When we see it so clearly in another. Now let's bring that to our own life. Our own life. Can I understand that when I have a need to control something, when I hold on with the white knuckle grips to something, that is grounded in a deep belief that I am not safe and that I cannot trust another? Now, you may ask, Reverend Karen, what does that have to do with receiving? Receiving, beloveds, is a very, very vulnerable experience. It's so different in that regard than giving. right? When I'm giving, I'm making the choice where I give, what I give, how much I give. I'm in control. When I am, God forbid, asking for help, or when I am genuinely receiving something. Open your arms a little bit. Feel that difference when we give or when we receive. Very different. If I have any unhealed issues about trust and safety, they will come up immediately. They will come up immediately. And so how is it, so that is that I don't feel safe. How is it that I don't feel worthy? This is what happens if we have that deep belief that who we are as a divine manifestation is enough. That we don't have to hustle to earn this life. This is how it shows up if that is our belief. Something is given to us, and instead of knowing that our gratitude is what balanced the gift, we feel like, oh, what do I need to give now in return? Anybody ever had that experience? Yeah. Then it becomes transactional, right? Even the most kind experiences become transactional. I receive this much, I have to give this much to the same person. When we heal these beliefs, when we are able to grow and find that the only one we can trust fully is life itself. It's the divine. It's that part within us that is of the Most High. That is how we learn to heal these wounds that we all have. The Course in Miracles says it this way. A sense of separation from God is really the only lack you need to correct. That's it. We have to find ways to anchor into our own wholeness and into oneness. On Tuesday, we have a bunch of beloveds who are graduating from their foundations class, and they can tell you now, if this is what I want to experience, if this is the spiritual quality that I want to bring forth, it might be wholeness or unity, then here is the spiritual practice. Here are the spiritual practice that I am going to engage in, and here are the methods on how I'm going to do that. It is all of our work. I read an interesting story about this Buddhist who lived for 17 years as a Buddhist monk. And in his tradition, none of the monks were allowed to ask for anything. They were only allowed to receive what was given to them. And so every morning they would rope up and walk down into the village, and the beloveds were sitting there handing them the food. And this beloved monk said he noticed something. Sometimes people would ask, "Is there anything you need?" And the monks would say, no, I'm good. because really their common storehouse was always filled. They had enough of everything. But what he noticed, that when they were asked, and in his tradition, they could respond to that. When they were asked, is there anything you need? It was okay to say, a couple of razor blades would be great, or maybe a t-shirt or something. Because here's what he noticed. When a beloved would ask, is there anything you need? And the monk would respond with, no, we're fine. It was like a door closed. It's like the circulation of giving and receiving was stopped. And so he started to answer those questions with, oh, yes, I would love to have a razor blade or a t-shirt or some other things. And then he took that genuine receiving further. When he was given those things, he would always make it a point to use it. So if it was a t-shirt, he would wear it at least once before putting it through the wash and putting it into the common area. So the next time when the beloved asked, did you receive the t-shirt? He could say genuinely, yes, it felt so good. It felt so good on me. And he said he learned something about this basic activity of the divine that is giving and receiving. And he says it this way. Receiving with grace is beautiful. It allows an opportunity to someone who wants to give, and it blesses both the giver and the receiver, and in some small way, it beautifies the world. I love that. I love that. Wherever we find ourselves on that circle of giving and receiving, if we don't step up, if we don't do our part in it, it is being disrupted. Receiving. So how then can we remind ourselves the next time we find ourselves trying to control something, hold it? What can we do to soften and to see if we can expand a little more? I saw this reading that I want to share with you. Well, I guess I am going to have to recite it. Okay. It is by Michael Singer, and I'm going to paraphrase because I cannot find it right now. But I'm going to paraphrase. Michael Singer, in his surrender experience, says this. A small acorn has the oak tree within it. Isn't it amazing that one fertilized cell grows into a beautiful baby? That the entire universe is held together, that for millions of years, all of the forests in the world have received enough water, and yet we feel that if we don't hold on and control what's happening out there, it's not going to continue. I will have to find the reading because he does a beautiful job articulating that we have to remember. We have to remember that there is something greater at work that asks us to come into alignment with it, that asks us to step into the flow of the river, but we don't have to control it. Instead, we have to receive it. Receive it fully. There's a Sufi saying that says, abundance can be had simply by consciously receiving what has already been given. And isn't that the truth? If we think about all the good that we have already received, we are abundant. Each and every person who hears this message is abundant. And we wanted to bring this a little deeper. And so when you entered the sanctuary, you received a card that looks like this. And I think those on our online community, we're going to ask you to answer that question just by putting it in the chat or sending me an email. And here's why we're doing this. We want to take a moment and feel into what is the good that I have received through this New Vision Center, through this organization. What's the good? How has it changed my life? How has it perhaps just touched my life? Because part of receiving, of genuinely receiving and being nurtured by the good is to be aware of it, to be willing to articulate it. So we take a moment and we ask you to fill out that card. There should be pens around. Allow it to inform you what it is that you are grateful for, what it is that you are receiving here. Thank you. Thank you, Frank. So you can continue. If more comes up, add it to it. And then when we are doing the offertory, we ask you that you bring those cards and drop them into these receptacles. Letting the universe know, I recognize the good that I'm receiving. I am willing to open up more and more. I'm willing to be vulnerable enough to say yes to the flow of life, to all the good that is always, always being bestowed upon us. And so hold that card close to your heart as we do what we know how to do best, and that is to speak a spiritual mind treatment, our form of affirmative prayer. And I invite the practitioners and ministers of this teaching to rise, continuing to hold the entire community, every beloved community member, in compassion and love, in harmony and ease, in grace, those who are in the sanctuary and those who are coming to us via the online campus. And as we recognize that we truly are all one, there's only one activity of the divine, and that is that power that is greater than we are, and it envelops each and every one of us. It is within us. It is all around us. And so we rest here for a moment, opening our heart space, receiving all the good, all the love, the harmony, the joy, the laughter, the possibility, becoming so clear how very, very blessed we are. And as we feel that gratitude bubbling up from the very center of our being, we allow it to radiate from us as we place this word, this knowingness, into the law. To the law that always says yes. Yes, yes, my beloveds, it is already done. And with great gratitude, we let it be. As together we say, and so it is.